Hello and welcome to our podcast episode number 67. The supervillain who created a hero gets more than he bargained for. I'm Tom, and I am here with my friend Timothy. Tonight, we are going to talk about Megamind. As always, spoilers ahead. Megamind is a 2010 American animated superhero comedy film about an alien villain named Megamind, who defeats his nemesis Metro Man and creates a new hero to fight. However, when the new hero becomes an even worse villain than he was, Megamind must act to save the city. First of all, I enjoyed the film. So, Tim, did you enjoy Megamind?
Well, Thomas, I did like it, but I wouldn't say I loved it. It was entertaining enough, but there were some aspects that left me wanting more. The humor was hit or miss for me. Sometimes I found myself laughing out loud, and other times I wasn't sure if I should find a particular joke funny. The story itself had an interesting premise. What happens when the villain actually defeats the hero? But I felt like they didn't quite explore that idea to its full potential.
Oh, come on now, Tim. You can't expect every film to be a masterpiece of cinematic storytelling. This was just supposed to be an enjoyable animated flick for kids and adults alike. Besides, I thought the characters were well developed, especially Megamind and his sidekick minion. The voice acting was top-notch too. Will Ferrell and Brad Pitt were perfect choices for their respective roles. As for your complaint about the story not exploring its full potential, well, it's not like they had to go into a deep philosophical discussion about good versus evil or anything like that. The film served its purpose to entertain us.
I suppose you have a point there. And to be fair, the animation was quite impressive. The action sequences were well choreographed and visually appealing. But overall, it just didn't leave me feeling as satisfied as I had hoped after watching an animated superhero movie. But enough about my opinions. Tom, what did you think of Megamind? Did it meet your expectations?
Well, Tim, I have to admit that my expectations for this film were pretty low going into it. I mean, it's an animated superhero movie from DreamWorks, not exactly known for their masterpieces in this genre. But Megamind surprised me. I thought the plot was original and engaging, especially with the twist of the villain creating a hero. It kept me guessing until the very end. Plus, there were some great action sequences that had me on the edge of my seat. However, as much as I enjoyed it overall, I do agree with you about certain aspects that could have been improved upon. For example, I felt like they could have explored more into Megamind's motivations for becoming a supervillain in the first place. And while I liked the voice actors, there were times when their delivery fell flat or seemed forced. But all things considered, I had a good time watching it and would recommend it to anyone looking for an enjoyable animated superhero comedy. Now that we've talked about our opinions on the movie itself, let's dive deeper into its plot. Tim, can you tell me more about your thoughts on how Megamind created Roxanne Ritchie, aka Titan? Was it something he expected to backfire so soon?
Well, Thomas, I did find that aspect of the story intriguing, the idea of a villain creating his own hero. It was a twist on the typical superhero narrative we're used to seeing in movies and TV shows. As for Megamind's motivations behind creating Titan, well, I think he genuinely wanted someone to challenge him mentally and physically. He had already defeated Metro Man and needed an equally powerful opponent to keep him engaged. However, the way things played out was certainly unexpected by both Megamind and U.S. viewers. Roxanne's transformation into Titan happened so quickly it felt a bit rushed. And then she turned on Megamind almost immediately after he created her. I think he underestimated her potential as a hero, which led to his downfall in many ways. But overall, it was an interesting plot device that kept things interesting for the audience throughout the movie. So, what did you think about Roxanne's transformation into Titan? Was it something you saw coming from the beginning, or did it catch you off guard as well?
For me, I didn't see it coming at all. It was a clever twist that kept me on my toes throughout the film. I think Roxanne's transformation into Titan showcased how powerful she truly was, both physically and mentally. And when she turned against Megamind, it felt like a natural progression of her character arc. She had been manipulated by him for so long that once she discovered his true nature as a villain, she couldn't stand by any longer. On another note, I found it interesting how the film explored themes related to identity and self-discovery through Megamind's journey. He spent most of his life as a supervillain, but deep down, he just wanted to be loved and accepted for who he was. When Titan emerged as this perfect hero, Megamind started questioning his own existence. Who was he without being the enemy? It added an extra layer to the film that made it more than just another animated superhero flick. Now let's move on to some behind-the-scenes tidbits about Megamind. Tim, do you know any interesting facts or stories related to the production of this movie?
Well, Tom, one fascinating aspect of the film's production is the extensive use of motion capture technology for the characters. It allowed for a higher level of detail and expression in their movements, making them feel more lifelike on screen. However, it also presented some unique challenges for the animators. For example, they had to carefully choreograph the action sequences so that the characters' movements would look natural while still being exciting to watch. Additionally, the voice actors had to perform their lines in a soundproof booth wearing special suits covered in dots that were later tracked by computers to create the final animated versions of their characters. It really showcases how much effort went into bringing Megamind and his world to life on screen. Another interesting tidbit about the film is its nod to classic comic book tropes and references throughout its story. For instance, there are several moments where characters use iconic superhero poses or lines from famous comics like Superman or Batman. This not only added depth to the universe they created, but also paid homage to those who inspired it. It's a testament to how well researched and thought out this film was, even down to its smallest details.
I agree with you there, Tim. The attention to detail in Megamind is truly impressive. But moving on from behind-the-scenes tidbits, let's discuss something else related to the movie itself. One question that comes to mind for me is how they managed to balance humor and action throughout the film. As you mentioned earlier, some jokes fell flat while others made us laugh out loud. What do you think was their approach in ensuring that both aspects were well received by audiences?
That's a great question, Thomas. I believe they achieved this balance through careful pacing and integration of humor into various aspects of the film. For example, some jokes were delivered during action sequences to provide comic relief without disrupting the flow of the story. Others were used as running gags or character quirks that added depth to certain characters, like Minion's obsession with cameras or Megamind's constant need for validation from others. By mixing different types of humor throughout the movie, they ensured that there was something for everyone, whether you preferred slapstick comedy or witty one-liners. Additionally, they didn't shy away from using visual humor as well. Think about some of those over-the-top superhero battles. The sheer absurdity of it all added an extra layer of humor to what could have been just another typical action scene in a superhero movie. So overall, I think their approach was quite effective in appealing to both fans of comedy and action films alike.
I must say, Tim, the special effects in Megamind were definitely one of its highlights. They really brought the world of superheroes and villains to life on screen with stunning detail and realism. From the cityscapes of Metro City to the intricate designs of Megamind's lair and Titan suit, everything looked incredibly detailed and immersive. The action sequences were also impressive thanks to the seamless, integration of CG and traditional animation techniques. It was as if you could feel the power and energy behind each punch or blast of laser beams. One thing that particularly stood out for me was how the filmmakers used lighting and shadows to create a sense of depth and drama in certain scenes. For instance, during Megamind's final confrontation with Titan atop the city's skyscrapers, there were moments where both characters would be backlit by the setting sun, making them appear almost like silhouettes against the glowing horizon. It was a simple but effective visual trick that added an extra layer of emotion to their fight sequence. Another aspect I appreciated about Megamind's special effects was how they handled the transformation scenes between Roxanne and Titan. The transitions were smooth and fluid, allowing us to see her morph from one form into another without breaking the illusion or feeling disoriented. It was a clever way of showing the audience just how powerful and capable she truly was as a hero. Overall, I think the film's special effects contributed greatly to its success by setting it apart from other animated superhero movies at the time. They not only enhanced the visual spectacle, but also helped convey the emotions and intensity of each scene in a way that would have been difficult with just traditional animation alone. So, Tim, what are your thoughts on the special effects and filming techniques used in Megamind? Do you agree with my assessment, or do you think there were some areas where they could have improved?
I definitely agree with your analysis, Tom. The special effects in Megamind were top-notch, and they really helped to create a believable world filled with superheroes and villains. The attention to detail was impressive, from the intricate designs of the characters' costumes to the realistic movements of their hair and clothing during action sequences. It was clear that a lot of thought had gone into every aspect of the film's visual style, which made it all the more immersive for viewers like myself. However, I do think there were some areas where they could have improved upon the use of special effects. For example, during certain close-up shots or slow-motion sequences. I noticed a slight loss in quality that made the animation look slightly jarring or unpolished compared to other parts of the film. Additionally, while I appreciated the use of shadows and lighting to create depth and drama in some scenes, there were others where it felt like they relied too heavily on these techniques, leading to a somewhat flat or monotonous appearance in certain moments. Despite these minor issues, though, I still think Megamind's special effects were overall successful at enhancing the storytelling and visual spectacle of this animated superhero film. They helped to bring life and energy to characters like Megamind, Titan, Minion, and others who may not have been as memorable if presented with more traditional animation techniques alone. So I agree with you, Thomas, that they were an integral part of what made this movie so enjoyable for audiences like ourselves. But now we've spent enough time discussing the special effects and filming techniques in Megamind. Let's shift our focus back towards another aspect of the film, the actors and their characters. Thomas, can you tell me more about your thoughts on how well the voice actors brought their respective characters to life? Did they manage to capture the essence of each character effectively, or were there any performances that stood out as particularly memorable in your opinion?
Well, Tim, I have to say that the voice acting in Megamind was quite impressive. Will Ferrell, who voiced Megamind, did an excellent job portraying the character's range of emotions, from his arrogant and manipulative demeanor as a villain to his vulnerable and insecure side after losing his nemesis and creating Titan. Similarly, Tina Fey brought a lot of charm and wit to her performance as Roxanne Ritchie, Titan. She captured the character's transformation from an unsuspecting reporter to a powerful hero quite effectively through both her dialogue delivery and physical performance. Jonah Hill, who voiced the lovable yet dim-witted Minion, provided some much-needed comic relief with his slapstick antics and constant fumbling around. David Cross also did an admirable job as the overly dramatic Metro Man. He managed to make the character both endearing and hilarious at the same time, despite having relatively little screen time compared to others. As for standout performances, in my opinion, I have to mention Brad Pitt's portrayal of the mysterious warden of the prison where Megamind is eventually imprisoned. His deep voice and intimidating demeanor added an extra layer of intrigue to what otherwise could have been a forgettable supporting role. Additionally, I thought Justin Theroux did a fantastic job voicing Hal Stewart, Titan's love interest. He brought a sense of warmth and sincerity to the character that helped ground some of the more outlandish elements of the story. In terms of characterization overall, Megamind was quite well-rounded for an animated supervillain protagonist. He had complex motivations beyond just being bad. He wanted recognition and acceptance from his peers, which ultimately led him down a path of self-discovery when Titan turned against him. Roxanne Ritchie, Titan, also underwent a significant transformation throughout the film, both physically and mentally, as she learned to harness her powers for good instead of evil. Minion provided comic relief while still serving an important role in Megamind's plans, adding another layer to their unique dynamic. Lastly, I think it's worth mentioning how well cast all these actors were based on their respective performances. They truly embodied their characters both visually and vocally, which contributed greatly to the overall success of Megamind as an animated superhero comedy. So, Tim, what are your thoughts on the voice acting in Megamind? Did any specific performances stand out for you, or did you find all of them equally engaging?
You make some great points there, Tom. The voice acting in Megamind was truly top-notch, and it really added depth to each character's story arc. However, I must say that my favorite performance was by Will Ferrell as Megamind himself. He managed to capture the character's sense of humor while also portraying his vulnerability and emotional growth throughout the film. There were moments where you couldn't help but feel empathy for Megamind despite all his past misdeeds. And I believe that was largely due to Ferrell's performance. Additionally, I thought his comedic timing was spot on, especially during some of their more lighthearted scenes together, like when they're discussing their respective love lives or planning their next scheme against Metro Man. Overall, it was a testament not only to Will Ferrell's talent, but also how well he worked with the rest of the cast and crew on this project. They truly seemed to bring out the best in each other, which contributed greatly to Megamind's overall success as an animated superhero comedy film. Now let's shift gears slightly and talk about something else related to Megamind. Its cultural impact on animation and popular culture at large. As we all know by now, Megamind was released in 2010, a time when superhero films were experiencing quite a resurgence, both critically and commercially, due largely in part to Marvel Studios' successful implementation of their cinematic universe strategy, starting with Iron Man in 2008. However, what sets Megamind apart from other animated superhero films released around that time, such as DreamWorks, Animation's own The Incredibles, or Pixar's The Incredibles and its sequel Incredibles 2, one aspect I believe contributed significantly was its clever subversion of classic superhero tropes while still paying homage to those who came before it by focusing on the story of a villain turned hero. Megamind managed to present audiences with a fresh take on the genre that challenged traditional notions about good and evil. Additionally, its self-referential humor and nods towards popular culture helped make it more accessible to both longtime comic book fans as well as casual moviegoers who might not have been familiar with some of these references. Another aspect worth discussing is how Megamind has influenced subsequent animated superhero films released after its success. We've seen an uptick in recent years of animated features that explore similar themes or characters as those found in Megamind, such as the Lego Batman movie, which also featured a villain-turned-hero storyline, or Spider-Man, into the Spider-Verse, which introduced multiple alternate versions of its titular superhero. It seems that Megamind's unique blend of humor, action, and self-reflection has left an indelible mark on popular culture, one that continues to inspire filmmakers even today. So, Tom, what are your thoughts on Megamind's cultural impact, both within animation and beyond? Do you think it's had a lasting effect on how we perceive superheroes, or is it just another fun animated film that came out during its time?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Megamind has had a significant impact on both animation and popular culture as a whole. It was one of the first animated superhero films to focus on a villain's perspective and explore themes such as redemption and self-discovery in such an engaging way. As for its influence on subsequent films, we've seen many that have followed suit, from the Lego Batman movie to Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. I believe this is largely due to Megamind's unique blend of humor, action, and self-reflection, which made it more than just another superhero movie.
Yes, Tom, I completely agree with your assessment there. Megamind broke new ground for animated superhero films by focusing on the complexities of a villain who is struggling to find his place in the world. It challenged traditional notions about good and evil while still maintaining a sense of fun and humor throughout the story. And as we mentioned earlier, it also had an impact on popular culture at large, inspiring filmmakers, even today, to explore similar themes within their own work.
So with that being said, Tim, what are your final thoughts on Megamind? Do you think it's one of the best animated superhero films out there, or does it fall short in some areas?
Well, Tom, overall, I think Megamind is a fantastic addition to the genre of animated superhero films. It has everything you could ask for: humor, action, heartwarming moments, and a unique story that sets it apart from other similar movies, while there are certainly some aspects that could have been improved upon. These flaws don't detract too much from the overall experience. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that Megamind is among my top picks for animated superhero films, alongside classics like The Incredibles or Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse.
I couldn't agree more, Tim. As someone who initially disliked the movie upon first watching it back in 2010, I have come to appreciate its charm and wit over time. The voice acting is top-notch, the story is engaging, and there are plenty of laughs to be had along the way. It's no wonder that Megamind has become a cult classic among fans of animated superhero films.
Well, there you have it, folks, our thoughts on the 2010 animated superhero comedy film Megamind. We hope you enjoyed listening to our discussion as much as we enjoyed having it. Now let's wrap up this podcast with a plea for your support. If you liked what you heard today, please consider subscribing to our channel and hitting that like button. Your comments are also greatly appreciated. Let us know what your thoughts are on Megamind or any other films we may have discussed in the past. And if there's a particular movie you'd like us to cover tomorrow, don't hesitate to leave a suggestion in the comment section below. Until next time, this is Timothy signing off along with his old friend Tom. Take care and see you soon